everyone, and welcome to week 44 of the GuitarQuest lessons. So we will be continuing on with everything we've covered so far. Obviously we've covered quite a lot of stuff now, 44 weeks. So we've done all of GuitarQuest 1, all of GuitarQuest 2, we've done all the notes around the sort of the low end of the fretboards, and in GuitarQuest 3 we've been sort of moving on, doing a few hammer-ons and pull-offs and that kind of thing. So we will be continuing with that kind of thing. So before we get started, just the usual housekeeping kind of things. So if you are on a device that has any notification type things, so social media or emails, anything like that, please do turn them off so we can get our undivided half an hour guitar time. If there's any children watching, then I'd suggest have an adult in the room just to help guide through some of the ideas. We've got the chat function, so please do post any comments or questions in there if you have any bits you get stuck on, that kind of thing. Or if you're not watching this live and you're watching the video back, you can post them in the comments under the video once it's been uploaded properly to YouTube. So let's kick off with tuning as always. So your string should sound like this, so just try and adjust accordingly. So it's our top E, okay, and then our second string for B, and then we've got G, finally D. So finally D, that's the next one I mean. And then A, our fifth string. And then the bottom E string. Okay, so that's our strings, so hopefully we're all in tune. Remember, as we're playing, we're going to try and avoid letting the guitar slide away from us, and try and keep it nice and upright. The slight upward trajectory on the neck is ideal. That's kind of that really. One thing I was observing, should we say, in some of the private lessons I've been doing, it's quite a common thing, so perhaps I'll just mention it now, so it's something to watch out for. And that is what happens to your left hand fingers when you press down on frets. So what we always want to do is keep this kind of almost like kind of a claw shape, which kind of something like that. And what we don't want is for these fingers to start flexing the other way. So if, say for example, you're pushing down on the D, second string, third fret, we always want to try and keep this angle here, and we don't want it to sort of flex. I don't know if that's very clear or not, but we don't want to be doing that sort of thing. So always up like that. And if you're playing chords and things, try not to let any of the fingers, I don't know if you can see it, but sort of collapse down that way, because it will just get in the way of things. So we want to try and keep all our fingers nice and sort of in that sort of claw kind of shape, so that they're not getting in the way of other strings and that kind of thing. So yeah, that's just something I thought I'd mention. I don't know if I've mentioned that before in the past or not, but it's important. So worth, if you notice yourself doing it, just try and get that finger sort of up round and into that claw shape, and then hopefully that will help with your playing. If you do find it difficult, it's probably just a strength thing, and the more you play, the easier it will become, and so on. So just try and persevere with it if you notice yourself doing it. Okay. So what I thought we'd do is start off with number 8 today as a bit of a warm-up. So that's on page 7 of GuitarQuest 3. We'll come on to the chromatic exercise that we talked about last week in a minute, but it's a bit more difficult, so we'll start with this, see how we go, and then progress from there. So hopefully you're on page 7 now, so let's give it a go. We've got various repeats going on, so I'm going to assume that you know what they are telling us, and we're just going to go for it. So starting on the D, second string, third fret, after 4. Okay, so 3, and 4 and rest, rest, back to beginning, second line, two, rest, rest, two, rest, 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 back to the repeat mark on the line above, second time bar, last two bars, rest. Okay, good. So hopefully that's gone okay. We did this first a few weeks back now, so hopefully that's sort of relatively in the comfort zone. Obviously, if it isn't just yet, then just keep practicing. That's what it always boils down to. So just keep playing, and things do get easier. Okay, so we started a chromatic exercise last week. We're going to attempt it again today. Just the same thing as last week. We probably won't push on with it any more than that. I think we'll do it for a couple of weeks, and it'd be really good to get some feedback on it actually. So if you've tried it, let me know how you found it. And if it's too much, we'll abandon it. Maybe come back to it again at some point in the future. Or if you found it good and challenging, but within a challenge within reach, then then we'll keep going with it for a bit. So I'll just demonstrate. So what we're going to do: start the first fret, and then go to the second fret, third and fourth, and then we move up a fret and do the same again. Move up and go again. Try and keep it steady and just keep it moving up each time. And we're going to stop when our pinky finger gets to the 12th fret. And so that's our 12th fret. So that's where we stop. In theory, it will all loop round, but we'll probably take a pause there. And then we're going to come back down again. So we're going to go just sort of reverse. So 12, 11, 10, 9. Then move the hand down, go again. Down and go again. And again. And our aim is to get it just so we're moving relatively smoothly, comfortably across. We're just going to finish on an open E string. So that's our plan. That's the challenge. We're going to go nice and slow. And what we're going to do is come in on beat 2 as well. So I'll go 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay? And we're going to work our way up. As I say, when we get to the 12th fret, we should just carry straight on back down if we're doing it in its entirety and properly. But we're going to take a pause there just so you can sort of catch up if you've lost your way at any point. But yeah, let's give it a go. So here we go. After 4, coming in on beat 2 actually, so after the 1. Okay, so 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and then up a fret, up again, to the 4th fret, 5th fret, 6th fret, 7th fret, 8th fret, fret, and then we're going to stop here. Okay, so that's the first section. So give yourself a pat on the back if you managed that. I'll say this is something I've done, I've shown this years ago. So I find it relatively straightforward, just working up and down, but when it's new, depending on where you're at on your guitar journey, you might find this quite challenging. So do let me know if it's too much. But we're going to start and come back down. So this time we're going to start on beat 1 with our pinky finger at the 12th fret. So let's give it a go then. So after 4, I remember, so it'd be 12, 11, 10, 9, and then 11, 10, 9, 8, 10, 9, 8, 7, and so on. Okay, here we go. So 3, 4. Down to the 11th fret. 10th fret, the pinky. 9th fret. 8th fret. 7th fret. 6th fret. 5th fret. And 4th fret. And then open string to finish. Okay, and I'm just going to play that to you now. I'll go a little bit faster, just so you can hear that sort of transition on the sort of the way up and the way back down. Okay, so we'll be counting in. So we're like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Just going to go a little bit quicker. Just keep going up. Slow down a bit, and straight back down. Finish there. So although I sped that up a bit, it's just really for the time that it's taking to cover it. So like I said, please let me know how you found that, because it'd be interesting to hear, and we can develop that and start zigzagging across strings and things like that, but I don't want to spend loads of time on it if actually you're finding it really difficult and you're like, do you know what, I'm not seeing the benefit. There is a lot of benefit though, you just got to believe me on that. Lots of coordination stuff. If you're a plectrum player, you can still play it with a plectrum. I haven't got one to hand in front of me at the moment, but you can just be doing the sort of down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So we can discuss that at some point. So the plan actually is to get onto plectrum playing in GuitarQuest 5, which might seem like a little way off. So we might come back to it at that point, and we'll talk about how we could play it with a plectrum then. But if anybody watching is a plectrum player, do let me know, and I can always dive into it a little bit now. So just seen a comment saying that you love it, and zigzag would be cool to learn. So, okay, that's the feedback so far. So like perhaps next week we'll talk about zigzagging a little bit, but we'll leave that there for today. If anyone else has got any comments, do please let me know. Okay, so let's move on then. So we're going to recap a couple of the older exercises first. So we're going to go on to exercise 11, which is on page 8 of GuitarQuest 3. This is underwater. So these are our hammer-ons. So yeah, just hammer-ons in number 11. So remember, we play the note. So in this case, say the first note of exercise 11 is an open E, and then we're going to play the 3rd fret, but we're not going to re-pick the string like I just did then. We're going to do a hammer-on, so you play it, and just push that finger down quite forcefully, hence the description, a hammer-on, you know, think of the action of a hammer. Obviously you need to be a little bit careful, like you don't want to really hammer your fingers down too hard, you don't want to injure them or anything, so it's that sort of just enough in terms of pressure, which incidentally is another question that I was asked this week actually, like how much pressure do you need to put through your fingers to get the notes to sound, and it's a really difficult one to answer. So it's the answer really is just enough. You don't want to be over-exerting, but obviously if you don't put enough pressure through, then the note doesn't sound. So it's finding that balance. And the same with the hammer-on. If you push down quite lightly, you're not really going to hear anything. If you push down quite forcefully, you should hear the note. But we don't want to overdo it. So it's just finding what works for you, and you know that can vary depending on guitars and strings, you know, steel strung, classicals, that kind of thing. But we've discussed that quite a bit in previous lessons, so we're just going to try and play through it. We've got the repeat at the end of the second line, so let's give it a go and just see how we get on. Again, let me know what you think as we progress, or once we finish rather. So, number 11, after 4, this is underwater, here we go. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Second line. Back to the beginning. To second line. Rest. Okay, so give yourself a pat on the back if that went well, as always. We did go a little bit quicker than perhaps I've done in previous lessons, but again, hopefully if you've practiced it, that might actually help, because the longer we leave that note before we do the hammer on, the harder you've got to work to get that note to sound. So the quicker we do it, obviously we won't quite that fast, but you get the idea that hopefully the quicker we do it, the easier that note is for it to sound, that hammer on. So we want to try and not necessarily pick up the speed, but yeah, we want to keep it at a good tempo to get that note to sound. But let's move on then to number 12, Tuscany. So this is predominantly pull-offs that we're going to be working on this particular one. And so remember, when we do the pull-off, so for example in the first bar we're going to do the F to the E, play the F, and we just ever so slightly flick down. I allow my hand to move away, you don't want to do that. It's just that sort of motion. So so that's sort of what you're after. You might not even need to flip the finger down. If you lift the finger off, you'll hear the note a little bit. But yeah, if you feel it's a little bit quiet, just giving it a slight flick will just give it a little bit extra volume to your playing. So yeah, let's give it a go. So when we get to the end of bar 8, we go back to the beginning and play it again. So again, we played it a couple of weeks ago, so hopefully it's okay. So we're going to just try again now and see how you go. Okay, so after 4, so 3, 4, 2, 2, second line, back to the beginning, 2, second line again, third line, and the hammer on at the end, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, good. So, yeah, acknowledge the wins. Hopefully that went well. Do let me know if you've got any questions on those particular exercises. Remember as well, on my YouTube channel, I've got backing tracks for all these all of these exercises. So, always good practice to play along with them. And just a reminder, in terms of how to practice, I would work on those exercises on your own first. Try and get the notes down, get the timing more or less correct, and then try it with with the demo track would be the first way to do it, which has me playing the exercise as well. And then you go on to the backing track, which is the second half of the video, where I'm not playing the exercise and it's just over to you. Can you keep in time? and get all the notes right and all the usual stuff really. So that's how you want to approach things when you're practicing. And obviously any bars that you find difficult, you just go over those a little bit. If, for example, you found bar 5 difficult, I would suggest start at bar 4. So you do bar 4 into bar 5 and out again, so bar 6. So you do bars 4, 5 and 6. The reason being is that if you find one bar difficult, you want to sort of practice that transition in and out of the other side as well. So if you just practice the one bar that you find difficult, then you may find that you start playing that bar well, but only in isolation. And when you put it into the middle of the piece, you get stumbling blocks because maybe your hand isn't set up quite the same way as when you were just doing it on your own or in isolation. So yeah, that's what I would suggest in terms of any bars that you find difficult to practice. But let's move on. So last week, at the end of the lesson, we covered exercise 13, which is Slumberland. So a slightly longer exercise, but that's fine, hopefully, anyway. So again, you let me know if what you think of them. And I think I mentioned last time, we've got some dynamics in there. You can add them in if you want, but really the most important thing is getting the notes right, getting the timing right. Excuse me. And in this particular exercise, we've got lots of hammer-ons and pull-offs and things, so we want to be working on that technique rather than concerning ourselves too much with the dynamics. If you find it easy, by all means go for the dynamics as well, but for now in terms of this lesson, we're just going to be focusing on getting the notes right. I can't remember if I mentioned last week, but at the bottom of page 9 there, you have that little note that just says, remember, slurs won't always have an H for hammer-on or P for pull-off displayed. And in this particular piece, we haven't got that. So it depends on the software that it's printed with and how thorough people want to be. So like on the previous exercises, we've got the H's and the P's to make it clear, but this one we haven't. And the way you know if it's a hammer-on or a pull-off, or to differentiate between the two, is the hammer-on goes from a lower note to a higher note, and a pull-off goes from a higher note to a lower note. That's how we know which one we're talking about. But let's give it a go. So number 13 then, and there's a couple of it's only one repeat. Sorry. So we play from the beginning down to the end of the 4th line. We go back to the beginning, play lines 1 and 2 again, and then jump over to line 5 and bar 9, and then work our way down to the end of the piece. So let's give it a go. And again, let me know how you find it. One other thing I should mention actually, as we play it, so we're going to go G to A, B to D, and then we're going to try and use our pinky finger to get the G 1st string 3rd fret, rather than using the 3rd finger again. And the reason being for that is because if we do that, we'll get that little momentary break in the flow of the piece. And what we want to try and do is let notes ring into each other as much as possible. That's not always going to be the case for every piece of music you ever play, but for this, as a general guideline, that's what I would recommend. So if we can use different fingers, then that makes sense. So we're going to go middle finger, 3rd finger, and then pinky. And you can hold that one down on the D, the 3rd finger, if you want. Again, it will just create a little bit of... I didn't play that very well, actually got a bit too twangy, but hopefully you can hear it. You just get a little bit of harmony through the notes, which sounds really nice. So that's the sort of thing we want to try and include in our playing when we're playing fingerstyle anyway. So let's give it a go, see how we get on. So after 4, here we go. So 3, 4. Second line, rest, 3rd line, F sharp, 4th line, remember the F sharp, going to stretch up to the 5th fret, back to the beginning, rest, 2nd line, rest, and then jump to the second time bar, bar 9, 3, open E, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, rest, penultimate line, rest, 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 and then we finish on G. 2, 3, 4. Okay, good. So I played that at a reasonable speed or tempo. Hopefully that was okay. Do let me know. Always any feedback is always appreciated. But what I'd like to do just for the last few minutes, we turn the page, is talk about this idea on the next page about playing in the second position. On page 10 then of GuitarQuest 3, we have this idea of second position playing. Now, everything we've played so far you could describe as playing in the open position or the first position, and what it means is our first finger is lining up at the first fret. There are occasions where we have moved away from that a little bit when we've played chords. For example, when you play a G, your first finger is now lining up at the second fret rather than the first fret. But chords you can view slightly differently, in my opinion. You know, chords, they're the shapes you have to make, so you make them. When we're looking at music, so far anyway, everything's been lined up at the first fret, and we've played around with that. When we go to the second position, we just move our fingers up. So if we were at frets 1, 2, 3 and 4, we just move up, and we're now at frets 2, 3, 4 and 5. So first string, second fret, we know is an F sharp, but we're now using our first finger rather than our second finger. Then when we play the G, it's third fret still, so the note hasn't changed position, it's still the third fret, but rather than using our third finger, which we have done so far, we're now going to use the second finger. And then, for example, if we go to the 5th fret for the A, we're going to use our pinky finger. So often when we're playing in the second position or any other position around the fretboard, it's to enable us to get to a certain range of notes, and so that's why we're moving around a little bit. When you play in the second position, it's often the case that you've got two sharps, so F sharp and C sharp, because there won't be any notes at the first fret that you actually need to play, provided you don't have any accidentals in there, i.e. notes that, you know, if we've got an F sharp and a C sharp, provided the tune doesn't deliberately put an F or a C in it, then we're going to be based, it'll be good for us to position ourselves at the second position. But the challenge with it is that you're used to using a particular set of fingers to play a certain group of notes, and now we're going to play the same group of notes but with different fingers, and that's what makes it challenging initially. But again, it's really worth persevering with, because eventually we want to be able to play all over the fretboard and not be worrying too much about, you know, what fingers should we be using, and that it becomes instinctive. So yeah, please, when you're practicing, take the time, try and make sure you get it right, because it will definitely serve you in the long run. So okay, so what we're going to do, I'm just going to talk you through number 14. So apologies, I think we're going to overrun a little bit today trying to get through this one. But second position, so we start on our F sharp, so we start here, and then F sharp, open E. So in the second position, or any position on the fretboard, we can still have open strings. So we've got F sharp, E, C sharp. Remembering our C sharp is second string, second fret. Then B, A, and then F sharp, but the lower one, so that's fourth string, fourth fret. We come back to the higher F sharp. Then hopefully our pinky finger now reaches up to the 5th fret quite comfortably. Back to the 2nd fret for the F sharp. Same kind of notes. Then as we come onto the second line, we're onto the A. Remembering to use our first finger, not the second finger, because we're in the second position. So those last couple of notes there, we've got F sharp down to E. 4th string fourth, 4th string second. So bar 6, A, B, A, E. And carrying on. A, B, And the last line I think is the same as the first line. 2, 2. And then you would repeat and then play the A at the end there. So what I'm going to do is put the track on, point to where we are in the music. That will obviously have the repeat, so keep an eye on that. We'll talk about that in some more detail next week, but hopefully that's given you enough to kind of do a little bit of practice, get stuck into it, and then when we talk about it again next week, you'll have a bit more of a feel about what I'm actually talking about with regards to playing in the second position. So anyway, hopefully that makes sense. So let me just bring the music up onto the screen and we will press go on number 14. So I hope you enjoy it. Okay, so that is Canadian Vista number 14. Lots of practice in the second position. As I said, do try and sort of persevere with using the correct fingers. It might be tempting to go back to the first position, and you could do that and play the tune, but that would be kind of defeating the purpose of part of the challenge here. So just having a look here. So thank you to Elena for some compliments there. So a beautiful melody. Definitely need to practice the second position and finding the fingers confusing. Yes, that is pretty standard for when you start playing in different positions and you know things start overlapping. But as I said, if you can persevere with it, then you will bear the fruits of that further down the line. So we'll probably finish up there for today. We will do that one in a little bit more detail next week. I think because the content that we're covering in book 3 is a little bit more challenging, shall we say, than books 1 and 2, we are taking a little bit more time on them. So hopefully that's okay with everybody. But if you want me to go faster or slower in terms of content coverage and stuff, just let me know. But it feels like it's the right sort of speed that we're covering things at the moment. So anyway, for this week then, what I would suggest as a bit of a warm-up is we'll do exercise 12 and that first line of the chromatic exercise. And then we've also got probably exercise 13 is worth doing for another week just to sort of see how you go. Obviously exercise 14, get stuck into it and then let me know how you get on during the week. It'd be good to hear and whether you found that playing the second position challenging or whether you adapted to it quite comfortably, that kind of thing. It's always good to get that kind of feedback. So that's pretty much it. So remember, you want to be practicing 4 or 5 times a week if you can, preferably more would be ideal. Every day would be perfect, but this world we live in is not always possible. So If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a thumbs up. Please let anybody else who you think might be interested know about it. All the old videos are on my YouTube channel, so there's a lot of content there now. So yeah, please do share away. And if you're feeling confident and you want to record yourself playing, then please do tag me in it, and I will. I can share it and put it on. I've got a community playlist at the moment. So far, there's only one person on it. So, but hopefully, if we can get a few more people playing, then it will create more of a community, and I can give a little bit of feedback, and hopefully, you can support each other in that journey as well. So. But yeah, that pretty much wraps it up. So please do have a great week. Good luck with all the practice. And I will see you all next Thursday. Okay, take care then, everybody. Bye-bye.